Hello and welcome to your in-depth weekly horoscope for week commencing the 30th of May for the Sun or the Ascendant. I'm going to give you the standout issues and strands to look out for. Please stay with me. I will then dive deep to give you in forensic detail each of the 12 zodiac sign forecasts. Now this week of course begins with a new moon in Gemini. Now, Gemini energy is all about how we think. It's very nimble and agile, can be very amusing, very much to do with sharing ideas and interacting in a bright and bubbly way. But of course, the moon is very much how we feel about things, and the sign of Gemini is very much more about how we assess things from a more logical viewpoint. So one of the things that we can do over the next month is to meld our drive and our ideas much more closely to how we actually feel. So it's an opportunity for sure. Now, this is also a week when Mars and Jupiter continue to be very closely together. The exact conjunction actually happened as last week came to a close. So that combination can give us a lot of thrust, a lot of traction, a lot of enthusiasm in the sign of Aries. That's very much about getting things off the ground. But both the position of Mars and Jupiter are forging a relatively positive angle to Venus, which of course has now returned to the sign of Taurus, which it governs. So that thrust and the ideas energy that the new moon has given us in Gemini can certainly see us working towards making the most of our resources, which Venus in Taurus can be very good at grappling with. It can also give us an appreciation of good food and good wine and more sensual pleasures as well. But then on Friday, Mercury ends its retrograde, also in the sign of Taurus. So, we've all being challenged by this new financial reality which is kicking in, and it has been retrograde since the 10th of May and in the sign of Taurus since the 23rd of May. But then on Saturday, Mercury comes out of shadow, but also Saturn goes into a retrograde in the sign of the people, the collective, the sign of Aquarius. So it's possible through to the 23rd of October that we're going to be more mindful, I think, over a period of time of how connected we are to one another. I'm going to do a special on the fact that Saturn and Uranus are going to go through a square again within 3 degrees from the 11th of August. So please look out for that. But the other thing to tell you is that Mercury, despite that retrograde, is actually in a very subtle but powerful link to Neptune. So one of the things that we can do this week is listen to our hunches, because they can serve us very well indeed. So Aquarius, your weekly forecast for week commencing the 30th of May begins with that wonderful new moon in your sister air sign of Gemini. The 5th house where this occurs is about fun, frivolity, affection, play. Can be about romance, but it can also be about showcasing our talents. With Mars and Jupiter also combined in the 3rd house, which is very Gemini, ironically, this gives you a huge platform and an opportunity to just share with people just how vibrant and good company you can be. But of course Mercury, the planet of communication and the ruler of Gemini, ironically has been in a retrograde, but in a very tender 4th house. And you could have found some of your doubts or anxiety circulating around your mind. But by the end of this week, Mercury goes direct, and that's really going to help you to feel that you're coming much more into yourself. Now, of course, Venus, the North Node and Uranus are all in the 4th house as well. But Venus governs the sign of Taurus, so it's good for anything about a property matter. So if the Mercury situation has caused a slowdown, some good news can develop this week, because Venus is in a semi-sextile to Jupiter and Mars, and also Neptune in your sector of money is in a subtle but powerfully positive link with Mercury. Now, of course, Saturn does slam on the brakes as this week comes to a close. And because Saturn is your co-ruler, it's very much the part of your nature that appreciates tradition, friendships, longevity, stability. There's that other part of your nature that's more dashing, challenging and provocative, which comes through Uranus. But something about your physical world may go through a challenge between now and the 23rd of October. But the best way to deal with this is by narrowing your focus so that you're just taking each challenge in your stride and not spreading yourself too thin. Now, of course, it depends, Saturn's retrograde, whether it's impacting on a personal planet beyond perhaps even the sun in your natal chart, and that depends on the location of that particular planet. So it can have a bigger impact on you, I think, if you're born more towards the end of Aquarius. But whatever your position in Aquarius, this is asking you to persist on something that's very important to you, and patience and the passage of time are going to be important in reaching that goal, which can become much clearer to you as this year goes on.